Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this presentation on good essay writing. It's actually an assignment that was given to me by someone that I cannot say no to, and that's the proprietress of Usra Academy. She actually reminded me of a conversation we had some time back, many years ago, where I told her that I was the second best essayist in my school, and I only lost the first prize due to 1 mark. I lost that prize to a girl named Christabel. I never forget her name because of how painful it was to me that I lost that particular first prize with just 1 mark. So yes, she wanted to do something for her students to help them in their WAEC and NECO exam. So she remembered that story, that conversation, and reached out to me to help her put something together that could help her students. I had not done this before now. It's my first time teaching essay writing formally. Yes, I write essays for newspaper publication and for other consumptions, but I had never really taught essay writing before. However, like I said, there are a few persons that I cannot say no to, and Haja Halima is one of them. I had to take up the challenge and just put this content together, hoping that it may suffice. First and foremost, I'd like to talk about the power of writing. It's so important that with your pen, you can change the world. You can make impact in the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by the pen in the Quran to instill in us the importance of the pen. And that's where he says, Nun wal qalam wa ma yasturun. He swore by the pen and what they write, wal qalam. And in Surah Al-Alaq, Allah says, Alladhi allama bil qalam. He who teaches by the pen, allama bil qalam. So the qalam, the pen, and what it writes, what they write, what people write with the pen, is very, very important. You can spark off your revolution with the pen. The likes of Sayyid Qutb, rahimahullah, he was dreaded, he was feared, not because of his stature or his size. He was frail, he was weak, but with his pen, he could move mountains. So he shook the entire government with just his writings. That's how important the pen is. So writing is a very powerful skill, one that everybody should strive to improve upon. With it, you can communicate great ideas. So very quickly, let's jump straight into the deep end of the pool. This is a format for writing essay, an easy format. You may be given 3, 4, 5, or 6 essay topics to write on. Decide on which of them you want to write, which of them you are most comfortable with, which of them you have the most number of points to write on. When you decide on your topic, then you move to the next stage, which is the conceptualization. When you have decided your topic, first of all, reread that topic again to be sure what exactly the examiner is asking for. If you don't understand the question, you cannot give the right answers. Understanding the question is part of the examination. So you have to understand exactly what is required of you in that topic, and then know what type of essay it would be. Would it require a descriptive essay, an expository essay, a narrative essay? What kind of essay would this topic require? You want to describe an event? You want to narrate an event, a past event? Or you want to write an exposition on something? You have to understand that. Then you conceptualize the next stage. Personally, I consider this the most important stage in essay writing, conceptualization. Readers, or rather writers, are thinkers. If you can't think, you can't write. For you to write effectively, for you to write prolifically, you have to be able to think, understand things. When you conceptualize, know what the topic entails, organize the points in your mind, then you can put those points to paper with your pen. That is writing. So conceptualization. The usual thing that happens in the exam hall is when you see the 5 topics under the essay writing section, you pick the one you want to write on, and you pick your biro or whatever, your pencil, and you start writing. Start scribbling down things, because you are rushing against time. But you need to take that few seconds, even if it's 90 seconds. The 90 seconds will be 1 minute and a half. Use that 90 seconds to conceptualize on what you want to write on and try to organize it so that you don't put the last point first and the first point last. It will make you lose marks in your organization. We'll come to that in the next section, inshallah. So conceptualization. When you are done in that stage, it's like building your blueprint for the write-up in your mind. You can write down the points on a piece of paper. For example, try not to use a material that will be considered external material. So you can write down the points in your answer sheet. When you write down the points, don't number them as you write. Just list the points, because you may discover some of those points you have listed should come earlier than others. After writing out the points, then you can number them. So if you discover that the points you have put in the third position should actually come first, you can number that 1, and then the next 1, 2, like that. Just number them randomly according to how you want them to be presented, and then go straight into your writing. So you've conceptualized, you've organized your ideas by writing down the points, and then you write your thesis statement, which is usually a 1-sentence statement that summarizes what you want to write about. Thesis statement could be important, very important, but sometimes too, I don't like using it because it may be leading. And there are times you don't want your reader to know exactly where you are headed. You just want to keep that suspense and let them discover for themselves. It makes reading interesting too. But it depends on what exactly you are writing about. You may be writing about the kidnap situation in Nigeria. So that is the topic. And then your thesis statement your opening may be something of the nature of the menace of kidnapping, is telling on everyone in the society. Your thesis statement is, we can't sit down and watch. We can't sit back and watch this criminality go on unabated. All hands must be on deck to check kidnapping in our society. That's your thesis statement. Everything you want to write now will be around this, proffering solution to checkmating kidnapping. You start developing it. But again, like I said, sometimes it makes the reader know exactly where you are headed too early, and it may kill the interest in reading. But that's your thesis statement. And then you develop the body where everything you want to write about, that is your playing field. You play with words, play with hyperboles, you play with your phrases and your adjectives, your adverbs, your proverbs, your adages. Everything comes into the body. That is the main aspect of your essay. Now write the main points. You can now break your main points into sub-points and elaborate on them. When you're done with that, conclusion. You summarize your topic in the conclusion, and then you can add some finishing touches like references, to some books or to some works that you may have used in that essay. So this takes us to the next point, which is criteria for marking WAEC and NECO exam essays. The first one is content, and it carries 10 marks. This is the relevance of your material to the topic. That is the content. Then organization, 10 marks too. How organized are your points? How leading are your points? Your ability to carry the reader on a journey with you. That is organization. And then your expression, again, your ability to carry the reader along and pass the message. This is where you express yourself literally. That thing you have in mind to say, that thing you have conceptualized, this is where you pour it out. Then your mechanical accuracy. How careful are you to avoid errors in your writing? We'll talk a bit more on this in the following slides. For the content, you have to make sure you understand the topic. You don't just delve into it without understanding what is required of you. And then you ensure that the topic you have picked is something you have enough information about, something you can easily tackle. You can easily deal with it. And let it be very, very important. For organization, like I explained earlier, this is how this refers to how your essay flows. And not only in essay writing, even in speech. If you want to deliver a speech, you have to be organized. You should be able to carry your audience along. So it refers to the correct use of your formal features, such as good paragraphing. If you can't paragraph properly, your write-up will not be organized. Appropriate use of emphasis and arrangement of ideas. The emphasis brings the reader's attention to where you want it to be. And then the chronological ordering of your paragraphs, the spacing, all of these fall under organization. It's advisable that you allocate 1 point per paragraph. Use one paragraph to discuss a point and go to the next paragraph to discuss the other point. If the paragraph is too long for 1 point, you can break that one paragraph into two, because two lengthy paragraphs makes reading monotonous. And also your sentences, if your sentences are too long, you may also want to break them with appropriate punctuation marks so that reading can be sweet. So how to achieve great organization? You start with the opening. Make sure your opening is good. Examiners will look at that. It's like you coming out to do a presentation. The first thing your examiner or your judges will look at is your appearance. They score you first for your appearance when you're doing a physical presentation. Same thing in a write-up. Your introduction is your appearance. How did you start it? If you started well, then they hope for something better to come. But when your starting is very poor, they just feel this guy has nothing to offer. Sometimes you don't want to read through. You've killed the reader's interest. And the reader here is your examiner. You've killed his interest in your write-up. And for the rest part of it, he may just be angry and just scoring you with the anger, using that emotion to score you. But if you're able to capture his attention from the very start, the very beginning, then chances are that you're going to score good marks in that essay. So let your paragraphs flow from one to the other and achieve coherence in this. Don't be haphazard in your presentation of points. Ensure you have a logical flow of the paragraph logically in terms of sequence of events. Let it flow like that. Don't put the last thing first or put the first thing last. Next is expression. Everything you've learned in English language, the use of tenses, correct use of tenses, grammar, the rules of grammar, your adages. According to the great writer Chinua Achebe, he said, adages or proverbs are the palm oil with which words are eaten. If you want to eat words, you want to chew words, spice them with adages. Use adages that people can relate with, that are simple to comprehend. Use African adages. When the rain falls, it falls on every rooftop. The gentle striding of the tiger is not a symbol of cowardice. The river that forgets its source soon runs dry. The stubborn grasshopper soon ends up in the gizzard of a chicken. Just use adages like that to spice up your write-up, and it will be a reader's delight. Okay. Then what else again? Good expression. It makes your essay sound, and try not to be ambiguous. You want to communicate. You want to express something. Remove all ambiguity. You don't want to leave your readers guessing exactly what you mean by your sentences, by your paragraphs. Don't keep them searching for the meaning or searching for the point you're trying to drive home. Make it as expressive as possible so it's enjoyable to read. Nobody enjoys reading what he does not understand. If you're reading a novel or whatever, when you finish the first 3 pages and you're not getting the message, the tendency is that you want to throw the book away and pick up another book. Okay, some tips for the expression part of the essay. Try not to use phrases such as, in my opinion. The reader is not assuming that you are an authority in that field or a scholar. The reader will feel more comfortable seeing your work as a product of thorough research than your opinion. So in my opinion, it narrows the scope of your work to be what you think. And people may not be readily receptive to your opinion. They just want to know what obtains, not what you think about the issue or what should obtain. Avoid redundant word phrases. Those phrases you repeat often in your speeches and in your write-ups. That is to say, before you write 3 sentences, that is to say, when your phrases are redundant, it makes the write-up very, very monotonous. Then use linkers or linking words, such as thereby, moreover, also, in addition, furthermore. These are linking words. They link your points together. They link your sentences together. They link your paragraphs together. Now, the main part that made me lose 1 mark to the essayist of the year in my time in school, and that is mechanical accuracy. This measures your use of grammar, punctuation, and spelling. They all fall under mechanical accuracy. And in WAEC and NECO, the total marks allocated to this is 10. So they do a countdown. For every error of mechanical accuracy, you are penalized with half mark. So when you reach 20 errors, it means you have lost 10 marks, which is the total marks allocated to mechanical accuracy. And then you've scored 0 in mechanical accuracy. So the reader would not even bother to score you further on mechanical accuracy because you've scored 0 in that aspect already. So he may just continue checking for your organization and your content, but as for the accuracy, he has written you off, literally. So what happened to me in my case is that I knew the topic. I had boasted about it before the day of the examination, that if any topic relates to sports, I was going to kill it. So, and yes, of course, I was a huge, big sports enthusiast. I still am. And I really wanted to write something on sports. Luckily, there was a question in the essay section to write about the preparation of the Nigerian national football team for the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games. So when I saw it, in fact, when everyone saw that question in the exam hall, they were all shouting my name. So that got into my head and I was so excited. I could not really keep my composure again to settle down and write. I was just in a hurry to kill it. And I made some errors and I lost some vital marks in mechanical accuracy. And by 1 mark, I was beaten to the first prize. So always remain calm in the examination hall when you are writing your essay so that you don't make errors relating to mechanical accuracy, errors like spelling errors, tenses, syntax, punctuation, all of these fall under mechanical accuracy. That's for that. This is a pictorial view of what an essay contains, the structure of an essay. Just 3 main parts: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. For the introduction, let's spend some little time here. For the introduction, it is the very first part of your essay. If it is bad, you have ruined the entire essay. But if it is good, then you've started on a very good footing. So some of those things you want to do, okay, the structure first, the format. This is how the introduction format should be. Start with an attention getter. It could be a startling information, an anecdote on the topic, which could be a short story or a dialogue. And then state your problem. In the example I gave earlier, the problem is the menace of kidnapping. And then bridge or transition sentences. Having acknowledged the problem, however, we can't continue to live in fear in our own communities. You're now transiting to, we've known the problem, let's go to the solution. Then your thesis statement becomes, we must put all hands on deck to find a solution to kidnapping. So you started a good introduction. These are some ways to start your introduction. Provide some interesting background about the topic in the form of a general statement. An example is, the sky is big enough to accommodate 1 billion stars. It's a general statement and it's a truism. The reader wants to know exactly what you want to make out from this statement. So you've arrested their interest and attention. You could use this kind of introduction maybe to write on an essay involving some big leaders, politicians who are fighting a needless fight, or some celebrities who are in a needless rivalry. The sky is big enough to accommodate 1 billion stars, so that rivalry is not needed. This could be a good intro for such essay. Then use a thought-provoking quotation. Put one of those big scholars or leaders of thought, and that arouses attention. Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. George Carlin. You've given the quotation and you've given the reference. The reader knows this person knows what he's talking about. And then they want to see what you want to bring out from this. Or ask a question about your topic. You are given a topic to write about mass failure in the university. And the cause of it, or something relating to that. And you start your writing with, why do lecturers in our universities not get blamed for mass student failures? Thought-provoking. You're a lecturer. You have 100 students in your class, and then you recorded 70% failure, and you're not bothered. That could be an appraisal on your performance as a lecturer. You're probably not lecturing them properly to have mass failure. But do we really ask these questions? So you started your essay with that question to provoke the thought of the reader and drag his interest to read further. State a surprising fact or a puzzling statement. Accidents happen more on good roads than on bad roads. Wow, this is surprising. Ordinarily, when accidents happen, we blame the road. Oh, Nigerian roads are bad. Oh, these roads are bad. And now somebody is saying that accidents happen more on good roads than on bad roads. And then the person quickly thinks about it that, well, this is true. As ironical as it sounds, it's true. And that's because the major cause of accidents on the highways is overspeeding. And drivers would not overspeed on bad roads. They overspeed more on good roads. So you started a conversation with that. Or you start with a short story that would arouse the interest of the reader. Little Mariam came back from school only to find her mom was not at home. You can develop this further. She rushed frantically to search the bedroom and the living room to no avail. Oh, where has mom gone? She asked in an unhappy voice. You are writing already. All right, still some more ways to start your introduction. State a common misconception. For example, Africa has been unjustly perceived as a dark continent, even though it has brought much light to the world. Yes, this is true. We've produced the best medical doctors, the best athletes, the best this, the best that, and they still consider us the dark continent. Why? So the reader is happy and he wants to read more. Describe a problem. Everyone knows what havoc the menace of kidnapping has wreaked on our society, yet no one seems to be doing anything about it. This is a problem, and you've just described it in one sentence. So you've started your conversation. Or give an analogy. Compare two things, two situations, two persons, two groups, two cultures. The Western leaders are like Nigerian politicians. They neither have permanent friends nor permanent enemies, only permanent interests. Let the talk begin. Let the discussion continue. Show how the topic is related to the reader's experience. For example, most people know how addictive social media is. And this is true. And the reader may be a victim, an addict of social media. So he wants to read more. Or he may not be a victim, but he knows this is a problem in our society today. And for you to start your essay by stating this fact that relates to everyday experience, the reader assumes that you probably have the solution to that problem, because knowing the problem is part of finding the solution. So they are interested to read more. So these are good ways of starting your introduction. It is the foundation of your essay. If it is bad, your entire essay will be ruined. Okay, the body. I've said so much about the body. Put everything you know here. Play with adjectives. Use adjectives to describe your nouns, and use adjectives to describe your adjectives, and use adverbs to describe your adjectives. The adjectives that describe adjectives, some authorities call them qualitative adjectives, and some authorities prefer to call them adverbs of degree rather than qualitative adjectives, because they argue that adjectives don't describe adjectives, whichever name you're calling them. What I mean is something like you want to describe a dress. The girl was sporting a red dress. The dress is the noun. The red is the adjective describing that dress. Now you want to describe the type of red. The girl was sporting a dark red dress. Dark there is a qualitative adjective or an adverb of degree. Somebody was angry. The boy was angry, or I was angry. I was exceedingly angry. Exceedingly now gives the degree of anger. So use enough adjectives, know the names of things, know how to describe everything, know what to call every situation. If you know how to describe every situation, writing is about describing. It's about storytelling. And knowing the names of things is very important. It is the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salam. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. He taught Adam the names of everything. If you don't know their names, you can't describe them. So build a rich vocabulary. When you see words, check their meanings, know their usage. It's not enough to know the meaning of a word without knowing the usage. You should be able to understand what context, in what context you can use that particular word. Let me think of an example. The word elaborate could mean big, right? But you don't want to say the boy was wearing an elaborate shirt, because elaborate could mean big. You're using it in the wrong context. So know the words and understand the proper context of usage, and put all of them here in the body of your essay. And do not forget to pace your essay in terms of timing of the events, their places and importance, and then the paragraphing, giving the major details from there to the sub details, and let it have a logical flow. Then you've written a good essay. Okay. Once you have fleshed out each of your body paragraphs, one for each main point, you are ready to continue. There are some useful writing tips. I think I have touched on a few of them here. Using proper adjectives and adverbs to make your essay very understandable. Spice up your essay with parables, proverbs, and adages. The number of paragraphs depends on the topic's complexity, inclusiveness, and your purpose for writing. That determines the number of paragraphs you want to use. Try not to make your paragraphs too lengthy, and try not to make them too short. Then remember to use signal words to make smooth transition between sentences and paragraphs. So what are signal words? Examples of signal words. If you want to list examples, signal words for examples, you want to give examples. You can say, for example, for instance, to illustrate. It means now you want to state some scenarios or examples or instances. Then if you want to signal words for organization or chronological order, you can say the following steps: next, secondly, finally. That is giving a sequence, a chronological order. Signal words for additional points. You've written some points, you want to add more, you can say in addition, also, furthermore, moreover, more so. You are adding points to the ones you've written already. Then for opposing ideas, you've written about one side of the issue. You want to state the flip side of it. You say, on the other hand, in contrast, however. These are just examples of signal words to switch side and give some perspective of the other side. And then it's for similar ideas, not opposing ideas. You can say likewise, similarly, in comparison, so you're giving similar ideas. These are signal words. Also, if you want to state exceptions, you can say however. However could be used for exception. Nevertheless, nonetheless, yet, still, but. Then for emphasis, you can say above all. You've been saying something, you've been listing some points, and then there's a very important one that supersedes all of them. Even though it is coming last, it is the most important. Above all, do not forget that kidnapping has an impact on the economy, something like that. Finally, more importantly, most importantly, or just say importantly, these are signal words, transition words for emphasis. For understanding, you can say, in other words, I like using this a lot. When you define something, define it in other words again. Use a set of words to describe something. And in order to break it down and make it more and drive it home to your audience, you now redefine that thing in a different way. So you say, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, or in essence, briefly, these are signal words for understanding. And then for summarizing, in conclusion, to sum up, for these reasons, in a nutshell, you are summarizing. I hope you are enjoying essay writing. So after all of that, you've come to the high point of your essay. Just as it is important to start well, it is also very important to end well. That is when you force your reader to clap, either physically or in his mind. He claps for you. He knows that you know what you are doing. In your conclusion, you're not trying to bring in new ideas. If you have new ideas, let them be part of the body of the essay. Your conclusion is trying to summarize the entire write-up using different language, using different words, using different sentences to make it more understandable from different perspectives. You don't want to repeat the same words you repeated in the body of the essay, but you just want to, in a few, it could be by using an adage too, saying something like, not all that glitters is gold, right? So, and with that, you are bringing back the audience to the point you started with, that everything I've just explained is to arrive at this junction that not all that glitters is gold. So here too, you may want to restate your thesis statement, but like I said, in different words. And then you want to have your reader, refer your reader to something like a reference point, a book, or a website or something like that, where they can get more information on that topic. This is conclusion of an essay. And with this, you can now do a final check of the essay, proofreading, to eliminate all mechanical accuracy errors and to just be sure that what you've written is fine, as long as you still have time if it's an examination situation. If it's not an examination situation, take your time to read and reread your essay. When you reread your essay, you may want to reorder the paragraphs and make it flow better, and then make it more relating to the topic. You know, initially we talked about understanding the topic and making sure that the content is related to the topic. If you are writing out of point, then you've lost your mark in content, which is 10 marks. I once sat in an exam with a girl that we were given a question to write an essay that ends with the adage, not all that glitters is gold. And this girl started writing, not all gold in the market are original. There are many fake gold in the market. Some of them are just gold plated, they are not real gold. And to the end like that. That was completely out of point. It means she has scored 0 in content. Her content is not relevant to the topic. You have to be very, very sure of what you are writing. And that brings us to the end of this short but long presentation. I thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.